On this day in history, November 16th, an expeditionary force of 10,000 men under Bian Hao was dispatched by Emperor Li Jing on November 16, 951, to conquer the Chu Kingdom. The conquest resulted in the ruling family being forcibly relocated to Li Jing's capital in Nanjing. This military action effectively ended the independence of the Chu Kingdom. A pivotal moment in South American history occurred on November 16, 1532, when Francisco Pizarro and his Spanish forces captured Inca Emperor Atahualpa at the Battle of Cajamarca. The capture was achieved through a cunning ambush that took advantage of the Incas' trust in diplomatic protocols. This event marked the beginning of the end for the Inca Empire. William Becknell completed his historic journey on November 16, 1822, arriving in Santa Fe, New Mexico, along what would become known as the Santa Fe Trail. His successful trading expedition established a vital commercial route between Missouri and New Mexico. This trail would become one of the most important trade routes in the American Southwest. Fyodor Dostoevsky faced a dramatic turning point in his life on November 16, 1849, when a Russian court sentenced him to death for his involvement with a radical intellectual group. The sentence was later commuted to hard labor in Siberia at the last moment. This experience would profoundly influence his later literary works. David Livingstone became the first European to witness the majestic Victoria Falls on November 16, 1855, during his exploration of Central Africa. He named the falls in honor of Queen Victoria of Britain. This discovery would later help open up the region to European exploration and colonization. A remarkable 24 Victoria Crosses were awarded on November 16, 1857, marking the highest number of these prestigious medals ever bestowed in a single day. The Victoria Cross is Britain's highest military honor for valor in combat. Many of these awards were given for acts of bravery during the Indian Rebellion of 1857. The National Rifle Association of America received its official charter from New York State on November 16, 1871, establishing what would become one of America's most influential organizations. The organization was initially founded to promote marksmanship and firearms training. This date marks the formal beginning of an organization that would significantly impact American gun culture and politics. English engineer John Ambrose Fleming secured a patent for his groundbreaking thermionic valve on November 16, 1904, marking a crucial development in electronics. This invention, also known as the vacuum tube, became fundamental to the development of electronic devices. Fleming's innovation would pave the way for modern electronics and radio communication. The Federal Reserve Bank of the United States officially opened its doors on November 16, 1914, establishing America's central banking system. This marked the beginning of a new era in American monetary policy and banking regulation. The Federal Reserve's creation was a response to earlier financial crises and the need for a more stable banking system. Qantas, which would become Australia's national airline, was founded on November 16, 1920, as Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Services Limited. The airline began as a small outback service carrying mail and passengers. This humble beginning would grow into one of the world's oldest continuously operating airlines. The United States and the Soviet Union established formal diplomatic relations on November 16, 1933, marking a significant shift in international politics. This diplomatic recognition came 16 years after the Russian Revolution. The establishment of relations would shape global politics throughout the remainder of the 20th century. Albert Hofmann first synthesized LSD on November 16, 1938, at the Sandoz Laboratories in Basel, Switzerland, from ergotamine. The psychedelic properties of the compound would not be discovered until 5 years later when Hofmann accidentally absorbed some through his skin. This synthesis would lead to one of the most controversial and studied psychoactive substances in history. George Medesky, who would become known as New York City's Mad Bomber, placed his first explosive device on November 16, 1940, in a Manhattan office building used by Consolidated Edison. This marked the beginning of a 16-year campaign of terror that would keep New York City in fear. The bomber's actions would eventually lead to innovations in criminal profiling. UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, was founded on November 16, 1945, as a specialized agency of the United Nations. The organization was established to promote international collaboration in education, sciences, and culture. UNESCO's formation represented a global commitment to peaceful international cooperation through cultural and educational exchange. The Soviet Union launched the Venera 3 space probe toward Venus on November 16, 1965, marking an important milestone in space exploration. The probe would become the first spacecraft to reach the surface of another planet. Although it crashed on Venus's surface, Venera 3's journey marked a significant achievement in planetary exploration. NASA launched Skylab 4 from Cape Canaveral, Florida, on November 16, 1973, carrying 3 astronauts on what would be an 84-day mission. This mission marked the final crew to visit the Skylab space station. The extended duration of the mission helped establish new records for human spaceflight endurance. U.S. President Richard Nixon signed the Trans-Alaska Pipeline Authorization Act into law on November 16, 1973, clearing the way for one of America's largest infrastructure projects. The act authorized the construction of the 800-mile pipeline to transport oil from Alaska's North Slope. This decision would significantly impact America's domestic oil production and Alaska's economy. Pop group Milli Vanilli suffered a devastating blow to their career on November 16, 1990, when they were stripped of their Grammy Award. The decision came after it was revealed that neither member had actually sung on their award-winning album, Girl, You Know It's True. This scandal became one of the most notorious cases of musical fraud in popular music history. Metal detectorist Eric Laws made an extraordinary archaeological discovery on November 16, 1992, when he unearthed the Hawksney Hoard in Suffolk, England. The hoard contained nearly 15,000 Roman gold and silver coins and numerous other valuable artifacts. This discovery remains one of the largest and most important Roman treasure finds in Britain. The first cases of what would become the 2002 to 2004 SARS outbreak were traced to Foshan, Guangdong Province, China, on November 16, 2002. The disease would eventually spread to multiple countries, causing a global health crisis. This outbreak would later influence how the world responds to emerging infectious diseases. The highly anticipated video game Half-Life 2 was released on November 16, 2004, marking a milestone in gaming history. The game went on to win 39 Game of the Year awards and revolutionized the first-person shooter genre. Its innovative physics engine, storytelling, and gameplay mechanics influenced game development for years to come. Space Shuttle Atlantis launched on mission STS-129 on November 16, 2009, heading to the International Space Station. The mission carried crucial spare parts to the station and conducted important maintenance work. This mission represented one of the final flights in the Space Shuttle program. NASA launched the Artemis 1 mission on November 16, 2022, marking the first flight of the Space Launch System and the beginning of America's return to the Moon. This uncrewed mission tested the capabilities needed for future lunar exploration. The launch represented the first step in NASA's ambitious plans to establish a sustainable human presence on the Moon.